if I'm going to worship you, worship God as the foundation of my relationship with you, then I must worship Him also as Savior. This has to do with your growth in grace. I would ask you this question this morning. What do you do when your husband or wife sins? What do you do when you wake up and they're just having a bad day? And they're irritable and impatient? What do you do when they're struggling to forgive? What do you do when they're impatient and demanding? What do you do when they sin against you? Do you throw their sin back in their face? Do you tell them that you're more righteous than they are? Or do you do what your Savior does with you? Where sin abounds, grace abounds even more. God will never put me down. He'll never mock me. He'll never use my weakness against me. He'll never publicly embarrass me. He'll never get frustrated and slam the door and walk away. He's always gracious. He's always patient. He's always gentle. He's always forgiving. He's always kind. Do you look at your husband or wife and quietly wish that God were doing a better job? That if you just speed up the process a little bit so they'd get a little more holy, it surely would make life easier? Or do you rest in the wisdom of His grace? Take this moment. You know why you're in this room? Grace. You know why you're in this room today? Wise grace. God gives you what you need at just the moment you can receive it. You know, one of the final things Jesus said to His disciples was, "There are many more things I'd like to tell you, but you're not able to bear them." This is the world's best teacher, but He knew that they'd had enough. Do you understand that when Jesus was ascending, the disciples were still asking dumb questions? Do you know that? I would have stopped the cloud and said, "Forget it. You guys you're not getting it." Now here's what this means. You must understand, in God's good wisdom, change is a process and not an event. Change is a process and not an event. Worshiping God as Savior is finding joy in that long process of change that He's working in you and working in your spouse. It's not demanding that that process be an event. So it's living with a process mentality. Here's the second thing. It means I want to be an instrument in that process. I don't want to stand demanding like this. Look up here. Waiting for the process to get to the point where now I'm satisfied. I jump into the process. I want to be an instrument in God's hands. How can I be part of what God is doing in your life? How can I incarnate His love? How can I incarnate His wisdom? How can I incarnate His grace? How can I be a tool of change in your life? Not demanding change,